So many years ago, I was speaking in, and I was speaking in a certain congregation, and it was Shabbat morning, and I was giving a talk. I even remember it was in the beginning of the book of Leviticus, and we were talking about the offerings in the temple. And there were two girls there that were profoundly affected by my talk. They were really moved, and they asked me if I would come and speak in their synagogue the next day. It turns out they were members of this, the Lesbian synagogue, right? I didn't know there was such a thing, really. You might not have either. But anyway, and they asked me to come and speak, and they said, our rabbi is going to be speaking about the mitzvah of tefillin. You know, that the girls should be putting tefillin on, phylacteries, right? Which is the leather boxes and straps that we wear. It's from Deuteronomy 6 that has the Shema and the other portions.
But only a man is commanded to do that.
Not only is only a man commanded to do it, but there's a very deep concept in the Kabbalah about why that is and what it really means for a man to put it on and how important it is, and a woman really doesn't need it. Anyway, I had a flight out, and I wasn't planning on going to speak there, but I felt very, very strongly like Hashem helped me to say something to these girls that will have an effect on them, because I felt like this is maybe the only chance that I'll get to say something of lasting import that they'll remember. And I felt very, very just torn up about the fact that these girls were going to this lesbian shul, and their rabbi was telling them that they should be putting tefillin on. And the whole thing is just like a topsy-turvy world, like altogether. Like what is a lesbian shul, and why are you going to be putting tefillin on? It's like this, it's just absolute. My mind is exploding, and so I thought very quickly, and this is what I said to them. Hashem really helped me, and I tried to access the entire database in milliseconds and say something that would make a very big difference, that would be true, and that would be bringing some light into the world. And what I said to them was, why do you need to do that? Because what is the tefillin? It is made of leather, right? And it is like a type of a rectification for the male who has this very animalistic energy. It's like that when the man puts the tefillin on, it's kind of like he's girding himself and he's wrapping himself up with like this energy in order to focus his nefesh, his life force on Hashem. So I said, you don't need that, because a man has this raw animal energy, but women are so pure and so holy. You don't need that to bind yourselves to Hashem. And so they started crying, and they said, "Oh, please come and tell our rabbi that." But it was very moving to me that they were so completely confused. And this is what it's all about. This kind of like total role confusion, and this originates here in Pharaoh's Egypt.
Yeah. And what's surprising to me, Rabbi, is the fact that, we've all, anybody who studies Torah, and we've even hinted at this already, is the idea that the redemption will be preceded by Exodus-like events, like there'll be plagues again, etc. But I never thought of this aspect of it being also part of it. I think because a lot of people aren't aware, and I'm glad that you pointed it out, that the idea that they did make them dress up in the clothing of the opposite sex, and as you pointed out, the oral tradition tells us that they actually made them flip the roles of work. But
again, that doesn't just mean that they said like do a job which is normally associated with the opposite sex. It means take on the role. Take on the identity of the opposite, and that in itself will implode the people completely. This was a very important stage in his plan of destroying Israel.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing.